Obviously, we got St. Francis this week, homecoming game. Opportunity for us to be here at home again in front of our crowd. We like that home field advantage, obviously, and it's homecoming. Good opportunity to have everybody back in town and to get a chance to watch us play. St. Francis will be in town. They come out and make a conscious effort to run the football. I think it starts with Kyle Harbridge. He had 189 yards last week. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry. I think he's got about 924 yards on the season. And he's a tough running back, runs hard. And I see that they're making a conscious effort to run the football. And when they have to go to the air, they like to find number one, obviously, and he's the transfer from Florida State. And Kelly will be back there behind the quarterback and try to get the ball to him. And you know, they're averaging about 170 yards passing a game, about 187 running. So they have some balance there. When you look at that, I think it primarily starts with trying to shut down the run. Defensively, very similar to Southern Illinois in some aspects. They like to play +1 in the box. So you know what that means? That means that they always play with one extra guy in the box to stop your run, much like Southern Illinois. And they put you in a situation where you have to schematically have some things available to account for +1. Also, you have to be able to match up some things in your running passing game, so that way you can take advantage of them when they're over aggressive and try to win some one-on-ones outside so you can make some plays down the field. But you know, last week was obviously a good win for us in our program. We hope it's a step forward in the right direction as far as where we want to go in the future of our program. Southern Illinois had a very good football team. You guys know that they were obviously two-time champs a couple years ago. So I felt like they were probably the second or third best team in the league coming into the season. And you know, defensively they were stout. You saw what they did against North Dakota State, and we had our hands full on offense with them all day. And offensively, you know, I think they probably had some things that they felt like they left on the field here and there, but our defense was able to pressure them and do some good things there. So, but like always, we have a 24-hour rule and we move on. And right now we're really focusing on just, you know, getting better every day. And that's something that we continue to emphasize. It's one of our fundamentals for success, is to improve every day. And we know if we continue to do that, we'll accomplish the things we want to do in due time.
Coach, can you touch on your team's ability in general to just overcome the adversity that you talked about and the kind of positive momentum that can come for the stretch run from a win like that one?
Well, you know, it was obviously a big win. You know, you go in at half 17-7. If you look at the scoreboard, you say, well, you're getting beat. But we really didn't feel like we were getting beat. We felt like, you know, we had left 2 touchdowns potentially on the board because of the fact that we turned the ball over. You know, we ran an option there on third and 3 or 3rd and 2, I think it was, and you know, we ended up fumbling the football there. And need to get 2 hands on the football. Ball security is something that we work on every day, and it's something that we emphasize. And then we throw a jailbreak screen out to the right there and have a nice big game and put the ball on the ground again. And it was a little bit deflating because really up until that point we were moving the ball up and down the field. And you know, that gives us confidence because we knew we were going against a good defensive team. So we just went in there and kind of got some things squared away, and you know, a little bit of yelling and hollering, and it's amazing. You come back out and take care of business and take care of the football. You know, offense is just so much about execution. I can't emphasize that enough. Any plays you draw up, they're all drawn up to be successful plays. And it takes 11 guys to do it. And when you have some breakdowns here and there, things show up. Whereas I feel like sometimes on defense, you know, you can have a couple mistakes, but because of great effort and guys running the football, sometimes you can cover some things up. The only place you can't cover things up are our secondary. And that's something that we've been emphasizing the last few weeks is you know, if you're a corner, you're much like a tackle, and it's 3rd and long. It's you and that defensive end, and either you keep them out or you give up a sack. And it's no different at corner. There's no one behind you. So I see a lot of similarities in offensive line play on 3rd and long in the passing game as to corners. And, you know, we're just taking it one step at a time and just trying to really focus each and every play, each and every day, just on getting better. You can't multitask in the game of football. And sometimes, you know, we all become accustomed to multitasking, but football, you got to have your eyes on your target and what your responsibility is.
Eric, how do you keep the confidence going? Obviously, human nature. St. Francis has one victory. How do you keep the players level-keeled?
Well, you know, we're not ready to crown anybody. We're not ready to hand out accolades and awards. All those kind of things take care of itself at the end of the season. I think things really come down to us, you know, in our maturity level and our ability to prepare, our ability to focus. You know, it's not scheme, it's not plays, it's not play calls. It's our ability to execute the plays that's, you know, given. And we have great schemes, we have great coaches. I mean, we just got to go out and execute what you're supposed to do on a consistent basis and realize that anybody can play with anybody. You know, we see that time and time again in college football. You can't take anything for granted, and you have to come out and be ready to play.
Can you talk about, you talked about the defense in the second half all season long. First half, your opponents have scored 115. In the second half, it's about half that. So the defensive adjustments in the second half, is that just something that happens during the game?
You know, we talk about adjustments in the first half. You know, I think you know, specifically this last game, we you know, felt a little more comfortable. I think I'm trying to think of how exactly I want to say this without making it sound like an excuse. I think the more you see things over and over again, the more familiar you become with them. And sometimes when you don't have as many reps, you know, if you're a guy that's had 1,000 reps, you feel pretty comfortable. Whereas if you're a guy that doesn't have very many reps, I think it's a comfort zone. And it's a comfort zone in the speed of the game. And we've obviously installed some new things weekly that are changing some things up on defense as we continue to grow, so we can expand and do some different things to change it up.
Coach, with that experience, do you feel like these guys have taken that next step to get them where you want them to be, or are close to doing that?
We're hoping so. You know, I'm not going to rush to a judgment today, by no means. You know, I just want to see us consistently keep working at it and executing it, and not have to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And we've made some progress there. And I think we've solidified some things, changed some things up coverage-wise, and those guys are getting more and more comfortable. Is it perfect right now? No, by no means. But we're making that progress, and I think that'll come in time.
Do you feel like a weight was lifted off maybe your staff and the team's shoulders by getting the win? First time you've come back from a deficit at halftime, first road win for your program.
I mean, those are obviously all nice accomplishments, but you know, I mean, quite frankly, we expected to win. We really did. I mean, I know some of you guys thought the season was over, but you know, this team's going to fight and scrap. I mean, we've proven that time in and time out. I'll let you guys know when it's over. You know what I mean? Trust me. But this team will fight. They work hard. They play. They compete. They're young. They're energetic. They love the game of football, and you know, it's a bright. We have a bright future here. I mean, it doesn't take anybody. It's not very hard to figure out. You know, you just gotta look and read.
Eric, at the midway point of the season, kind of halftime of the season, what would be your grade on this?
Well, you know, I think, you know, if you were grading specific positions, you know, I think it could range in a variety from A to F. You know, I'm not in a position right now where I'm ready to hand out grades. You know, I'm used to giving grades at the end of after you take your final test. The finals are over, and you look at your attendance, you look at your homework, you look at your reports, you look at your final report, and look at those things. We've done some things probably to my expectations, some things we haven't. You know, I continually evaluate, though, are we getting better? Because I know from being at Kansas State when I was there, I talked to Coach Snyder last Thursday. He said, Wolf, if you're that close in all those games, you're doing the right things. Just keep sawing wood, keep chopping, and it's going to happen. And what'd you know? It happened on Saturday. You know, so that's all you can do. Just keep working hard and doing things right. You know, we're not doing things by the seat of our pants. We're not goofing around. We're not, you know, doing all the type of things the distractions that you have in college football. We don't have those. You know, our guys say yes sir, no sir. They work hard. They do things right. They're on time. And are they perfect? By no means. But they're doing things right. And I'm used to when you have a program and you do things right, good things are going to happen. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it's going to happen.
Coach, when you gain a little momentum with a road win in the conference, is it frustrating? I mean, you can't control it, but to then have to step out of conference, is that an obstacle in sustaining momentum, you know, in the conference?
No, I don't look at it that way. You know, I think you know, it doesn't matter really who you play, you know, and you can look at all the different people that we've played this year. I think it's really about yourself. You got to look at yourself in the mirror, and I think we are capable. I think we can play with anyone. Now that means we can play with them. We can win to them, or we can lose. You know, we're not at the point where I think we can sit and look at a schedule and circle games and say, you guys are going to win these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. We're not at that point by no means. We still are at the infant stages of building a program for the long haul. And what that means is you know, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to play the right guys and build it so that way we can have depth at every position. If you have significant injuries, it's not going to be catastrophic. You know, you look at programs around the country, they lose one guy here or there and their season's over. You know, in the NFL, you know, you lose a quarterback, you know, potentially your season can be over. There's other college programs that if their quarterback's not playing well or gets knocked out, you know, who do they have at second and third? I mean, you know, you need to have your position stockpiled, and we're finally getting to a position right now where we got some depth at every position, whether it's receiver, quarterback, running back, tight end, offensive line. We have to work on for the next 2 years, but that's got to be a position. We've got some depth on. You guys know what we have on defense. I mean, so we just have to continue to stockpile those guys in there, and physically mature. You know, you know, 1 year from now, we're going to look a whole lot different physically than we do today. You know, and that's what I've seen already is when I evaluate us against South Dakota State, Illinois State, Indiana State, Southern Illinois, how are we matching up physically on the line of scrimmage, you know, compared to a year ago? And I think we've closed the gap on the line of scrimmage, you know, and that's showing up, especially in the second half. You know, we've closed the gap. 2 years ago, I felt like, you know, a year ago, I'm sorry, I felt like South Dakota State pushed us around on the line of scrimmage. You know, I felt like we closed that gap now. Southern Illinois, you know, we won last year, but I felt like physically they probably were ahead of us on the line of scrimmage. You know, quite frankly, a lot of people were. So we've closed that gap down, and that's what you have to continue to do. And it starts with the line of scrimmage. And then obviously your second level people in your secondary, and those guys have to physically develop too.
Number one, can you address maybe your kickoff return coverage?
Kickoff return coverage, major. You know, List actually did a great job kicking football, and we had a couple guys that didn't basically do what they were instructed to do. You know, if we tell you to keep the ball on your right shoulder, that means that you keep the ball on your right shoulder. You do not run across two other people and get knocked out of your lane, and then all of a sudden there's a big lane. And that happened on a couple different occasions. So we thought that we had a major problem. So we tried to fix it, and really it was just a couple guys not doing their job, and it's probably much as my fault as anybody. I took Tevin Williams off the kickoff team, and trust me, he'll be out there this week.
The other thing is, I saw David Rodgers had a walking boot. Is he out for a while?
Yeah, he'll be out for this week. He's got a sprain, so it's probably in the best interest just to get him healed up. He probably could play if we wanted to. You know, walking boots are just precautionary, but it's nothing significant. Nothing's broke.
Coach, getting back to St. Francis, you talked a little bit about the defense, but statistically, you know, they're giving up almost 48 points a game, almost 500 yards a game. How do you approach playing a defense that has had so much trouble and keep you guys focused on doing what they have to do?
You know, I don't. You know, our players don't look at the statistics, and you know, quite frankly, I can't even tell you what our statistics are, whether it's rushing or any of those type of things. The only thing I keep track of is scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So, you know, and you know, I think when you watch them, you're able to, as a player, to make an evaluation yourself. And I think when you sit down and watch them, you can see that they do a lot of good things. Now, statistically, that may not show up, but they are in the second year of a new head coach, and they're rebuilding their program. They're playing hard, and what they do, you can see that they're going to make it hard on you as far as trying to do some things that you would accustomly just normally line up and do. It's going to take focus. They have multiple fronts, multiple movements that they do based on formation and personnel grouping that you have to pay attention to. And it's going to trust a lot of your blocking assignments and your rules. So it's not like they're going to just line up in a base defense specifically and allow you to just do what you want. They are multiple in the aspect that they're going to trust a lot of your assignments and your rule blocking that you have for your football team, especially for the offensive line and tight end position and protection-wise.
Anything else about St. Francis, despite their record, that
Well,
makes your eyes get wide a little bit occasionally?
Well, I mean, I think the running back, I mean, you know, he's a good football player. You know, he's, I think, 7th in the country in rushing. I mean, he's got almost 1,000 yards. You know, and I mean, I don't think you can ever take for granted a guy that's rushed as well as he has, no matter who it is. You know, other people do the same thing. They try to load the box up too and stop the run, and he's still able to do it. I mean, when you can run against people with +1 in the box, you've got yourself a good running back and a pretty good offensive line. You know, and obviously, Coach played in the NFL for a number of years. I'm sure he takes a lot of pride in his offensive line and those guys playing hard. And I mean, that shows up. You know, they've made progress. I know they may not feel like it when you look at the wins and loss record, but they've definitely made progress when you evaluate them. You know, we do a film study on everybody we play this year and last year. You know, just like Valparaiso had improved tremendously from the first year. Same thing with St. Francis. You know, those are the kind of things that you look for is when you go back and look at your summer scouting report is how much have they improved, what have they changed from last year schematically, what kind of things are they trying to do different.
Okay.
All right, man.